Hey folks, let's learn something new about the oil and gas industry. All right, today, top business speakers in Houston, Texas. You know, we speak a lot all over the country, all over the world really, in the oil and gas patch. And one of the things I get a lot from a lot of the big companies here in Houston is how do you find the top business speakers here in Houston, right? The speakers in Houston that make a difference for your event. And we're gonna give you a couple ideas that we've learned just through trial and error from experience. So this is a big one. Don't look for speakers, look for ideas. And don't look for ideas that necessarily go along with whatever your company's culture is. Think outside the box. Look for ideas that may be different than what your company culture believes in. Not adversarial, but different. Look at all the new stuff that's coming in. These type of ideas are exciting and they're fun. This is what an audience wants to hear. Whether they agree with it 110% or not, it doesn't matter. Think about the TED Talks. I love the TED Talks. Do I agree with most of what I hear? No, but it's done very well because I love the idea. The idea is outside of the box of the normal culture. So when you think about finding a speaker, a business speaker here in Houston, think about the idea, not the speaker. Then here's another big thing, where to look. You know, you can go online and there's a bunch of speaker aggregate websites out there where they have a whole bunch of different speakers that they quite honestly don't know or don't know very well. They just allow the speaker to submit their information so you can go to it and have a one-stop shop. That may be fine for big box retail or legal or medical, but for oil and gas it's different. You need to be one of us, right? It doesn't matter how great a speaker you are in other parts of the world, other industries or whatever, but if you cannot relate to oil and gas, it just won't go over. It just will not work. So when you start to think about places to look for speakers, number one, look in your local communities, right? Look at what's going on in the Houston area. Look who's speaking other places. All that stuff's public, right? You can keep track of that. Other thing is look at the big oil and gas events and conferences. They have a ton of speakers that a lot of times after the conference is over, you can go back and listen to the speaker or at least watch part of it. That's a very good way to find a speaker. Also think about publications. As much as I hate to admit it, print is still somewhat important in oil and gas, and so there's another place to find good speakers. And then finally, ask your peers, right? The people that have done events in oil and gas that have brought speakers in, especially business speakers, have basically a feel for what's going on there and who is good and who is not. So that's a good place to look, where to look to find your speakers. Then, you need to make sure that your speaker fits. So if you're doing a company event and it's a sales and marketing kickoff for the year, right? You're trying to bring a speaker in that motivates your sales and marketing people, that maybe gives them a different way to look at things, maybe gives them, some outside motivation or some insights into what other sales and marketing people have to deal with, right? So that would be a perfect fit for that. But that same speaker would be horrible if you're doing a product kickoff, right? For a product kickoff, you want to have somebody on board that understands about whatever that product is. Let's say it's new measurement while drilling. Well, who can you bring in to speak about measurement while drilling? You need to make sure the speaker fits the actual event. If you're doing a conference or an expo, you don't want a downstream speaker to come speak to an upstream conference. And if you don't know the difference between upstream and downstream, put a link in the show notes to find out, but you need to know that. Especially if you're putting on a conference, what is your anticipated audience? You need a speaker that fits the anticipated audience. Then, make sure you have an MC. This is something I see so many people mess up on. An MC is not there to make everybody happy or joke around, although that is what they do. The MC is like the director of a movie. The MC is the one there that will cut a speaker short when they're running on time, will ask for the last question to make sure the questions don't run out of time. If the speaker finishes early, the MC fills in. The MC directs the whole thing. It's like an orchestra. And it's actually really hard to find a handful of good MCs in the oil and gas industry. We actually do it quite a lot. I'm not bragging, but if you need help with an MC, reach out to me. We're happy to help you. Then after you have all this stuff put together, and if you know me for any length of time, you know this is what I'm going to say, you have to have a game plan. Literally get a piece of paper, write out a dozen bullet points, where you're going to start, where you end, and all this stuff in the middle, and figure out where the slots are that the speaker fits in. One of the things that's actually really beneficial, especially if you're doing like a small to mid-size event, have the speaker come in at whatever time you want, but don't take any questions. Have him finish and let the audience know there'll be questions later at the end of the conference or the expo event. This will help people have a motivation to stay to the very end of the event, then come back and ask questions. And for you, your same dollar that you spend on speaker, you actually get to use it twice. Once when he speaks and once when he does Q&A at the end of the session. Then, if you like everything that we've just talked about, if we're trying to help you find speakers in Houston, business speakers in Houston, do me a favor, can you share this? All it takes is a simple social share to help us get the word out. This allows you to help your peers who also may be looking for a business speaker in Houston. So hopefully this helped. We will see you next time.